Hi, my name is Maria Nicole Fortes and I am your discussant for today. As a future educator, we must know the kinds of assessment that we are going to use in a particular situation in order to test the knowledge and skills of our student. The different assessments are already introduced to us, like for example, the summative assessment, conformative assessment, performance assessment, and so on. But today, we're going to focus on the performance assessment. Not just performance assessment, but the characteristics of a good performance assessment. But first, we should define what characteristics is. According to Oxford Dictionary, characteristics is a feature or quality belonging typically to a person, place, or thing and servicing to identify it. A very example of it is inherited characteristics such as blood groups. On the other hand, performance assessment, according to Paul Leder and Company, is that it measures how well students apply their knowledge, skills, and abilities to authentic problems. The key feature is that it requires the student to produce something, such as a report, experiment, or performance, which is scored against a specific criteria. We should bear in mind that performance assessment have three different types, which are products, performances, and process-oriented assessment. With so many various types of activities or instruments for performance assessments, it's difficult to know where to begin or which one to utilize in order to measure the learning outcomes of the students, because it is both confusing and challenging. When we are about to choose and design the best performance assessment, we must evaluate its suitability depending on the following criteria. So for the first characteristics it is authentic. That is, it includes the performance tasks that are meaningful and realistic. So, what does it mean? It should present tasks that are realistic and related to everyday life. Because what is the purpose of a performance assessment when they cannot be applied or used in our daily life? It won't make sense and it will just be a waste of time. Since time is precious, everything should have a purpose. Going back to our discussion, the performance assessment should reflect its relevance to the student. So it means we should know if they can do it or not, because everyone has their own capabilities and limitations. Also, their discipline and the outside world as a whole. Example, in an entrepreneur class, and the learning outcome is to develop a business plan. The teacher will require the students to propose a business plan instead of giving them exam to just test their knowledge of concepts and principles. With this, student will know and identify the market needs and gaps, plan out marketing mix, and so on. They will let the students to have hands-on experience that is usually working in the outside world. It provides opportunities for students to show both what they know and how well they can do what they know. In other words, it is by applying and creating what you know. Performance assessment should be balanced in terms of giving the students opportunity to show their knowledge and skill at the same time. And these are the main goal of teaching and learning. So, the first assessment should help answer the following question. First, do the students know it? And how well can they use what they know? A very example of this is when making a thesis. Teachers will require students to make an output of their work. But before that, this will also let the teachers know if the students learn the different parts of the research, if they will gather valid information and related lit and other parts of the research. After making this paperwork, it should always be useful, or there should be a tangible product and it can be applied by the students in real-life situation. So it is very challenging for the teachers to choose what performance assessment that measures these competencies, which are knowing, applying, and creating. It allows students to be involved in the process of evaluating their own and their peers' performance and output. Performance assessment should allow the student to self-reflect and be involved in evaluating their classmates' performance. This will help the students to know their strengths and weaknesses for themselves and for their groupmates. Example in research, they will know if this person should be assigned in the paperworks or in actual work or output. They will know where to focus on or which to improve on. Along with that, there should always be a criteria for scoring agreed by the students and the teacher. The criteria will guide the students to improve their work. It assesses more complex skills. We are aware of what traditional assessment is, which usually measures a single skill and requires simple tasks such as remembering. Traditional assessment uses exams that includes answering multiple questions or enumeration. Performance assessment, on the other hand, requires high-order cognitive skills. If you remember about Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive domain, there is a stage of it and shape in a pyramid in which it starts from the lower to higher order thinking skills. So it will not just make the students remember things, but eventually the students will apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Or in other words, they will engage in challenging activities. Example, giving the student a final exam to test if they know about how to make a seminar. Instead of that, the teacher will let the student not just propose a seminar, but also conduct a seminar. Or maybe instead of learning the marketing class, they will conduct an actual marketing for a product of their choice. This will enhance the ability of the students in knowledge and skill, their creativity, collaboration, communication, and research skill. It explains the task, required elements, and scoring criteria to the students before the start of the activity and the assessment. At the moment where the class just started, the teacher should present and explain to the students about the requirements, the criteria for assessment, assessment options, and rubrics to be used. Ideally, the teacher will involve the student in everything they do, in discussion, deciding which performance tasks, rubrics, and criteria they're going to use. For some instances, teachers sometimes collaborate with their student, deciding what they're going to put in the rubrics. Like for example, the teacher will ask if they will agree on the lowest rate, which is 85, if they didn't follow their criteria very well. So with this, the students are allowed to give feedback or revise the suggested rubric task criteria of the teacher. And it is our responsibility as a future educator to train them how to apply the rubrics for self and peer assessment. For me, this will be good for the students because it will be fair for they are agreed and discussed in a matter way. So no one will complain in terms of the performance assessment that they will be doing. And at the same time, they are guided. To sum it up, the characteristics of a performance assessment is first, it should be authentic or realistic, aligned to the students' capabilities, and should let the students have a hands-on experience. Second, the knowledge and skill should be measured equally, and the students can now apply and create what they learn. Third, it will let the students self-reflect and give context feedback to the groupmates in order to know which part are they going to revise and improve their work. Fourth, it should be a high-order cognitive skill. The student should remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Lastly, the student should be involved in discussion, decision-making, making and applying rubrics and criteria that is fair, agreed between the students and the teacher. I would say that by understanding these things and eventually applying it, it will not just prepare the students and measure their knowledge and skills, but it can be helpful for the students for surviving this wondrous world that we are living.